In answer to question 3, what have you learned from our audience feedback? During the initial planning stage of our music video, we sat down and listened to the song itself from an audience perspective, and we generally got the ideas that we wanted to convey, mainly of it being death in a modern day, taking someone's life, and then albeit going, because then it would express all these different ideas that death will always be there, and no matter what time it is, death will always take you, no matter how old you are, and we could then integrate black and white in there to sort of say the ideas of there's only life and death in death's eyes, no one's special, no one's unique. In order to try and get this reinforced, we sat some people down during our planning stage and got them to listen to the music video too, to see what their general ideas were. Some people had the same idea as us. It created this alternative ideas and feelings about death itself, whereas others felt completely unnerved and disturbed by the song itself. And that second idea seemed to appeal to us a little bit because of the nature of the song and its unique drum beat and its unique rhythm. We decided that during initial scene changes, there's a very unique drum beat throughout most of the video. And for that we decided to do either blackout or rapid scene changes to create this feeling of tension and a quick climax. That practically it would build the tension up towards the end, and then at the very end it would quickly, rapidly change, keeping the audience on edge and on the edge of their seats, basically. After we'd finished the first draft, we'd shown it to a handful of different people who both said the music video was good and they loved what it expressed about death, whereas some people said there were a few issues with it and also some other ways that we could do to improve it, both editing-wise and also the connoting of the message-wise. For example, someone turned around and said we could do an editing effect where we do the characters to fade out of the video itself and then fade back in at different points to connote this idea of the soul leaving the body and the surrealistic nature of actually being that close to death, which really appealed to us, and we integrated it into our final draft. Another idea was that we'd have an upshot of death towards the end of it, showing how his pure power, considering he'd be the only one in the entire video with an upshot, considering the mugger is the one who takes Jess's character. Jess is obviously the only female character in it, and also the one who's currently is the one who's taken by death, and then obviously death itself. It shows how powerful, in comparison to the other characters, death is, and it's also something else we integrated into the final draft. We also released a questionnaire, which allowed us to obviously hand it out to people who've seen the video and get even more feedback on it. We tried to focus on targeting a wide variety of different people. We didn't want to focus on one specific social group, because Oh Death is a gothic genre, and a gothic genre focuses more on connoting the message and focusing on a wide variety of social groups to send that message to than focusing on one. Unless the message itself is about a specific social group, it tends to focus on a variety of different people. And the majority of the feedback with that agreed with the main editing problems and also the way we connoted the main editing problems of the video, and mainly the quality downgrade. We also posted it on YouTube and got some replied comments on YouTube saying the exact same thing as well. The issue was with our audience feedback though, we couldn't follow through with most of the ideas that were being pitched to us, because mainly someone complained of the fact that we was using a low quality camera with only I think it was below 30 FPS frame rate. We did that deliberately to show the surrealistic nature of death itself by having low quality, and also it allowed us to edit it a lot more easier in comparison. Another one was the idea that we took Jess's character and made her into a more feminine looking character because it would show vulnerability. We decided against this because Gothic based genre focuses more on connoting messages and steering away from stereotypes, unless it's the case of the mugger where we're connoting a stereotype to easily communicate his character to the audience. During the final draft, we took some features into account, as much as the fact of the changes towards the editing. We went back and tweaked it. We went back and tweaked certain parts. We did the fading effect at different points to connote this idea of the soul leaving the body and the surrealistic nature of death. We did the upshot of death walking past to show his pure power in the performance. We did a change to the ending, which was posted to us, where instead of Jess being taken by death, death would turn around and take the mugger. because then it would connote the idea that Death chooses who he takes, and sometimes he can make mistakes, and because of that he will spare people. And the way we did this, because in the original one, we did it with an immersion shot where Death would reach towards the camera like this, completely blocking out the camera, creating this idea that Death will take anyone at any time, including members of the audience. In the alternative version, Death would reach towards the camera, however he would pull away and slowly turn back. And then we'd cut to a wide shot from looking up at Jess towards the end of the street of both Death and the mugger walking away, where the mugger would fade out and disappear completely, and then Death would fade out and disappear. It was meant to connote the idea that Death has obviously taken the mugger, and then Death himself has disappeared because he's restored Jess to life, and she can no longer see him as she did in the original one where she died. Overall, with our audience feedback, we couldn't obviously use everything we was posted because we still wanted to keep some of the main ideas we wanted to convey to our audience. However, we did take a lot of the audience feedback into account for our first draft and use that to massively improve it to create our second draft.